Right. So I look at the calamity of Thursday, which is a hadith in the Sunni literature, and when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was given the pen and paper, he wrote down the hadith of Thaqalain, which is the two weighty things. You know, you will hold on to
Hmm.
the Holy Quran, and you will hold on to my al-Bayt. And how I kind of see that is that's kind of the decree of the tradition and the teaching authority. Kind of the same parallels that you see in the Christian world, you know, with Catholicism and Protestantism. I kind of think of the Shia as kind of closest to like the Catholic role, like where it's got the establishment, and then Omar, you know, the second caliph, kind of rose up and said, you know, the Book of Allah, in other words, the Holy Quran, is sufficient for us. We don't need the family as guidance or as the interpreter of the Holy Quran. We just need that. And so it's just, I kind of see that as a parallel to Martin Luther, who rose in like the 15th century, you know, against the Catholic Church. And I just kind of see those parallels just being kind of brought to light.
So it's not it's more of like you're convinced by this aspect because both
Hmm.
parties can obviously share different ahadiths and then they share different like understanding and perceptions of it. But there's no actual determination of who was supposed to be the successor. There's no because in the Quran it doesn't say anything like that. Not like, for example, in the Bible or, for example, how Moses said that there would be a successor to him. In the Quran itself, he is Khatam al-Anbiya, so there's no successor technically, because the Quran is like the final book. So the Caliphate that comes after as more of a political thing than to run the empire than anything that has to do with religious text or religious like the religious sphere of influence. It's more of just like the kingdom.
Right. So one of the things that I kind of think about is that in order for you to have an infallible book, you need an infallible teaching authority. And so this is where Alabate kind of come in as the teaching authority after the prophet. And then we still have our teaching authority, you know, with Imam al-Mahdi. While he's in occultation, he can still be able to, you know, send those who can rightly guide, you know, the the mass of Muslims towards the
Hmm.
correct understanding. And we can see, even from the media standpoint, what happens when we take an infallible book and then we have multiple interpretations. I mean,
Hmm.
we see that in
Right.
Christianity, we see that in Islam,
Hmm.
we see certain splinter groups, that
Yeah.
cause a lot of tension. So it's about how do we present the true Islam to the world.
Wow.
Okay. And what's like presenting the true Islam, and then what do you mean by that statement? So like
So it's
what's
not about being in the majority, it's just about being what is the authentic path that the prophet would have followed and what kind of chain would he have today in his followers.
Mhm.
So when I look at his family versus, you know, the people that kind of came on board a little bit later, uh, one of the things I kind of noticed is that the family are very consistent with the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and so they
Mhm.
are just the most reliable when it comes to, you know, this is a religion of peace, this is a religion of piety, this is a religion of charity and giving and good
Yeah.
manners, and I see that consistency, you know, with the Shia. Now, I'm not one of those type of people that believes that, you know, like Sunnis, for example, are something different. Like, you know, just as we have the Jews and Christians as people of the book, the Sunnis are our brothers in faith, right, and sisters in faith. So
Right.
they are just as connected. All it is it's not a religious conflict. It's just an idea of um, who are our leaders today?
Mm.
Who are we going to get our interpretations from? So the religion
Mm.
is
Yeah.
still cemented and it's still connected, and that's why I still have a lot of friends who are Sunni. Like I hang out with them a lot. You know, I think they're great people. A lot of them actually look into my research and, like, you know, then it starts to kind of spark a little bit of an interest, and then they start to ask kind of questions about, like, you know, what do I need to know?